Hello guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about the best countries to start an Airbnb investment. Are you considering starting an Airbnb business? Let's check what are the top countries currently to start your investment and earn the most out of it on Airbnb. Before we start, if you want to travel, move or invest abroad, hit the like button and subscribe. Let's start. It can be rather subjective what makes a good place to start an Airbnb. Some people prefer warm weather and some people prefer the beach. Others may like a cosmopolitan feeling or the countryside. Regardless of personal preferences, let's try to address some of the main factors to determine the success of your Airbnb business. The main factors to determine whether an Airbnb is a good investment are regulations, infrastructure, seasonality, cost of real estate, taxes, and rental yields. Before considering an Airbnb investment, one should know what regulations may affect the performance or viability of the business venture. In San Francisco, California, you can only rent premises on Airbnb for up to 90 days a year. You must also be a full-time resident of the place you're renting, for example, a room in your house. Berlin is another city with restrictions. You can only rent up to 90 days per year if the place is not your primary residence. Another regulation aspect to be taken into consideration is owning real estate. In some countries, you may face restrictions to buy real estate if you're not a citizen of that country. These laws are becoming more flexible, and in many cases, incorporating a company in the given country will solve this problem. Finally, if you want to live in the same country as you are investing on Airbnb, you may need a residence permit. This varies greatly and will also depend on your citizenship, but it is good to check it beforehand. Another thing to bear in mind in your project is the country infrastructure. While owning a beach resort in Nicaragua might sound tempting, the infrastructure will certainly impact your quality of life and the inflow of tourists. Make sure you prioritize regions easily accessible by road, railways, and airports. Ideally, places with an international airport at a 50 km range should be a good idea. Now let's talk about seasonality. Seasonality is one of the key aspects of any hospitality-related investment. With Airbnb, it is no different. While some cities like Paris or Rome tend to have an influx of tourists year-round, other cities are not that privileged. Locations subject to seasonality tend to have a lower overall earnings. However, it may not be the case if the season is long or expensive enough to make up for the rest of the year. Finally, probably the main part of any real estate investment are costs. Firstly, we should consider the cost of buying property and then its operational costs. Then, taxes and rental yields are also very relevant to your investment. Cost of real estate is especially critical to assess where you can actually acquire units to rent. Some of the most visited cities in the world, like London, New York, and Tokyo, have also some of the most expensive prices per square meter. Taxes are also a huge detail you should consider before investing. The tax from your Airbnb income varies greatly from country to country, usually ranging from 3% to 25% in most countries. Finally, there are the rental yields. They will determine how long you will have to rent your Airbnb unit to recover the investment made. Now let's talk about the best countries currently to invest in an Airbnb venture. The first country is Colombia. Colombia definitely deserves a place in our list and it ranks high in many important aspects for an Airbnb investment. Touristy cities like Cartagena and Medellin have low prices per square meter and decent occupancy rates. Colombia is also one of the safest countries to travel in South America currently. The country also has a great weather year-round and getting a residence permit is also quite easy. The next country is Spain. Spain is one of the tourist hotspots in Europe, and it's easy to understand why. Better than that, you can find great opportunities for bargain prices if you look beyond cities like Madrid and Barcelona. The Iberian country also has a relatively affordable cost of living. Cities like Valencia, Malaga, and Sevilla have pretty low costs per square meter for Western European standards. Regulations and bureaucracy are some of the worst aspects of investing in Spain. Taxes are high in Spain and the amount of red tape is ludicrous. Spain also has a good advantage that you can actually get a mortgage even if you don't live in Spain and your income is from abroad. For example, you live in the United States and you have a job in the United States, you can get a mortgage in a Spanish bank to buy property in Spain. The next country is Poland. Poland might not be the first country which you might consider when traveling to Europe, but it does have great cities for tourism. In fact, this sector has been steadily growing in the country for the past years. Cities like Krakow and Wrocław can still be a good bargain if you're considering buying a rental studio in the old town, for example. Poland tends to get pretty cold in winter, especially in the months of January and February. This seasonality affects the country's performance, but it's still an excellent choice for Airbnb rentals. Now we're going to talk a little bit about Montenegro and Albania. Montenegro and Albania are two excellent choices if you want to enjoy the Adriatic Sea and earn from your Airbnb investment. With pristine beaches and mountainous landscapes, both Montenegro and Albania are highly attractive for tourists. Real estate prices are also inviting, and getting a residence permit in these countries is equally easy. The major downside of Montenegro and Albania is the seasonality. Most of the bookings happen in the European summer season from May to September. The last country in this video is Cambodia. If Southeast Asia is your region of choice, Cambodia is a great place to invest in real estate. Cambodia has considerably cheaper prices and much less strict regulations than its immediate and more touristy neighbor, Thailand. Although prices in the capital of Phnom Penh are already not very attractive as they went up in the last decade, Cambodia has much more to offer. Siem Reap is an excellent choice and has a steady flow of tourists from both Asia and Europe. That's it for today's video. If you want to travel, move, or invest abroad, hit the like button and subscribe. See you next time.